This is Tina Douglas, and you're listening to the Liam Photography Podcast with your host, my husband, Liam Douglas. Enjoy!
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Liam here, and this is episode 475 of the Liam Photography Podcast for the week of October 9th, 2025. And in today's episode, Blackmagic RAW coming to Sony, a court case against Nirvana's Nevermind album has been settled, and a photographer wins their case. All of this and more in today's new episode. Most of these stories are brought from our good friends over at PetaPixel. Last year, Sony promised a wide range of software improvements and feature updates for its cinema line cameras, including Blackmagic RAW or BRAW. These promises are being fulfilled a few cameras at a time, and BRAW is arriving very soon on Sony FX series models. Before diving into all the details, it is worth considering why filmmakers using Sony Cinema Line cameras may want to use Blackmagic RAW in the first place. Quote, Blackmagic RAW is available for anyone looking to take advantage of the high-quality bit depth, dynamic range, and control that the RAW format provides, coupled with better performance and smaller file sizes Blackmagic Design tells PetaPixel by email. Quote, Blackmagic RAW features an advanced demosaic algorithm, and it provides visually lossless images for high resolution, high frame rate, and high dynamic range workflows with extensive metadata support, optimized GPU and CPU acceleration, and seamless support in DaVinci Resolve. Better still, quote, it also opens cross-platform and free and supported via the free SDK on macOS, Linux, and Windows. Blackmagic Design calls BRAW the world's fastest RAW format. Further, compared to more typical non-RAW video formats, BRAW avoids compression artifacts and promises reduced noise. BRAW promises improved detail and color, and it records camera metadata in the file, which is instrumental for post-processing. Blackmagic RAW recording is enabled on a wide range of cameras through the use of Blackmagic Video Assist Professional Monitor and Recorder series, including the popular Blackmagic Video Assist 7-inch 12G HDR, which is $915 US. With these monitors attached, popular camera models from Canon, Fujifilm, Leica, Nikon, Panasonic, Sigma, and Zcam can record Blackmagic RAW. A complete list is available on Blackmagic's website, but a few highlights include the Canon EOS C300 Mark II, the Fujifilm GFX 100 series, Fujifilm XH2S, Nikon Z6 II and Z7 II, Panasonic S5 IIX, Panasonic S1 II, Panasonic S1R II, and the Sigma FP. Now, once Blackmagic releases its updated firmware for the Blackmagic Video Assist monitors and recorders, which is expected to arrive this month, the Sony FX3 and FX30 will join the list. An update before the end of this year will add Blackmagic RAW recording support for the Sony FX6 and FX9 cameras as well. Quote, it's always Blackmagic Design's goal to empower the end user with accessible and flexible products and workflows. With that in mind, when coupled with the Blackmagic Video Assist 12G models, creatives can take advantage of recording in Blackmagic RAW from supported cameras, including Leica, Panasonic, Fujifilm, Nikon, Canon, Sigma, and soon-to-be Sony, Blackmagic Design tells PetaPixel. The company explains that, like its other implementations, it worked closely with Sony to bring Blackmagic RAW recording to select cinema cameras. Blackmagic Design showcased a working beta version of its upcoming Video Assist firmware at IBC 2025 last month, so the public release appears on schedule for this month for the FX3 and FX30, with the FX6 and FX9 support arriving before the end of this year. It's been a very good couple of months for Blackmagic Design and expanded video format output. Alongside bringing B-RAW to Sony Cinema Line cameras, the company also recently added ProRes RAW support to DaVinci Resolve. This long-requested move arguably makes DaVinci Resolve the best color grading software on the market for nearly every user. And this is absolutely exciting news. I mean, Blackmagic has just been crushing it with their software and their hardware technologies. They've been really doing a fantastic job. And I do like to use DaVinci Resolve to an extent myself. I do most of my final editing in Final Cut Pro just because that's where I have most of my plugins and all that good stuff. But I definitely do like DaVinci Resolve. It's got a bit of more of a learning curve than Final Cut does, but it is fantastic software, and it is one of the most popular programs in the professional media space, I guess you could say. The man photographed as a baby on Nirvana's Nevermind album cover has lost his latest lawsuit against the band for distributing child sexual abuse imagery. On Tuesday, a U.S. federal judge dismissed a lawsuit filed by Spencer Eldon, who was photographed as a naked 4-month-old swimming underwater for the cover of Nirvana's iconic 1991 album. Eldon claimed that the image amounted to child pornography. U.S. District Judge Fernando M. Olguin formally closed the case, which was first filed 4 years ago. Eldon's lawsuit accused members of Nirvana, several record labels, and others associated with the band of violating federal child pornography laws. The one-page ruling dismissed Eldon's claims and barred him from refiling the case in federal court. Eldon's lawsuit argued that Nirvana and their team had knowingly produced and profited from a nude photograph of him as a baby on the cover of Nevermind. It also alleged that the record labels and the estate of Kurt Cobain, the band's late lead singer, continued to benefit from the image. Eldon first filed the lawsuit in 2021, saying his identity and name were forever tied to the commercial sexual exploitation he experienced as a minor, which has been distributed and sold worldwide. Judge Olguin dismissed that case in 2022, ruling it had been filed beyond the 10-year statute of limitations for civil claims. An appeals court later overturned that decision, allowing Eldon to refile. According to a report by the BBC, Judge Olguin has now ruled that aside from Eldon's nudity, nothing about the photograph comes close to bringing the image within the ambit of child pornography statute. He compared the image to a family photo of a child bathing and said it was plainly insufficient to support a finding of child pornography. Quote, nudity must be coupled with other circumstances that make the visual depiction lascivious or sexually provocative, the judge writes. Judge Olguin also noted several factors in his ruling, including that Eldon's parents were present at the photo shoot, that the photographer was a family friend, and that Eldon had previously embraced and financially benefited from being featured on the album cover. However, Eldon's lawyer tells Rolling Stone that they respectfully disagree with the ruling and plan to appeal. Quote, as long as the entertainment industry prioritizes profits over childhood privacy, consent, and dignity, we will continue our pursuit for awareness and accountability, James R. Marsh of the Marsh Law Firm says in a statement to the music news outlet. And I don't know. I mean, to me, this is kind of a weird one because I am definitely against any kind of exploitive child pornography. You know, for certain, anybody in their right mind would feel that way. But I do agree with the judge in this case. Being his parents were present during the photo shoot, the photographer was a close family friend, and the fact that he personally benefited from the notoriety and made money off it and all that stuff for years, yeah, to me, that would definitely negate any claims of child pornography. And I also do agree with the judge that the baby being nude in the swimming pool with the parents there would be no different than the parents taking a picture of their baby nude in a bathtub. Now, generally, parents that do those kind of photos of their toddlers or infants don't make them publicly available, but still it's along the same lines of thinking. So, I mean, I have to agree with the judge 100% on this one. I think the judge was spot on with his decision. A photographer successfully brought legal action against a woman who assaulted him after demanding that he delete photos showing a child participating at a public event. British press photographer Dimitri Lagakis, owner of the Athena Picture Agency, filed a private prosecution against his assailant after what he described as months of inaction by local police. According to a report by Wales Online, Lagakis was photographing the annual Three Counties Bloodhounds Hunt in Swansea, South Wales, on December 26th last year. The event is known as a clean boot hunt, where hounds are trained to track a human runner rather than an animal. During the event, a woman named Ruth Morgan approached Lagakis, saying members of the hunt had asked him to delete photos that included a child taking part. When the photographer tried to walk away, Morgan grabbed him by the arm of his jacket. Wales Online reports that the pair approached a police officer on duty, with Lagakis telling the officer that Morgan would not release him, while Morgan explained that she wanted the photos deleted. The officer informed her that the event was taking place in a public area, after which Lagakis walked away. On January 9th of this year, Lagakis submitted an online report to South Wales Police alleging assault. After several months had passed with no action taken by the police, the photographer filed a private criminal prosecution against Morgan. According to Wales Online, Morgan, who had no prior criminal record, pleaded guilty to assault by beating when she appeared in Swansea Magistrates Court. Video footage of the incident was shown in court. Morgan was fined £270, about $340 in order to pay a £108 or $135 surcharge. South Wales Police tell Wales Online that an investigation has been opened, but said there was not enough evidence to proceed. However, Lagakis says the lack of police action led him to file a complaint with the force's Professional Standards Department. Quote, on January 9th, 2025, South Wales Police received an allegation of assault which had occurred in Wynn Street, Swansea, 2 weeks earlier, a spokesman for the police tells the news outlet. Quote, an investigation was started, but the victim of the assault would not provide information about a potential witness, and therefore there was insufficient evidence to charge. Quote, officers made other attempts to identify the suspect, including through facial recognition technology. A subsequent complaint was made, which is being investigated by the force's Professional Standards Department. Recently, Lagakis spoke out after a conviction against him for assaulting a police officer was overturned just half an hour before his appeal was due to be heard. A judge in the case called the entire incident disturbing, adding that it raised serious questions about the freedom of the press in the UK. And yeah, I mean, this is a little bit weird. Things have been really getting odd in the UK and in Europe in general. I mean, people being arrested for online tweets and stuff like that. I mean, it's just crazy that it's getting so out of hand over there. I don't know what the heck is going on in that part of the world, but it's definitely a bit disturbing, especially if you ask me. All right, now I'm going to take a short break right here, and then I'll be right back. We hope you're enjoying this episode of the Liam Photography Podcast. You can visit the homepage for the show at liamphotographypodcast.com for show notes and links. You can post your questions, comments, or requests for future episodes at the Liam Photography Podcast Facebook group, or you can also email them to the show at liam@liamphotographypodcast.com. You can find the show on Twitter and Instagram at LiamPhotoATL. You can tweet the show, just insert the hashtag LiamPhotoPodcast. And now, back to the show. And we are now back. SEPA released updated camera shipment data, adding camera and lens shipment data through August. Although camera shipments were relatively high for much of the year, there was a significant dip from July to August, which was larger than the typical, quote, summer slump dip observed annually. In February, SEPA announced that digital camera shipments had increased in 2024 for the first time since 2017, which signaled positive news for the rebounding digital camera industry. Then, after President Trump announced widespread tariffs in April, camera companies began shipping more cameras and lenses to meet the increased demand as photographers tried to acquire their new gear before the expected price increases, which have since been realized nearly across the board. As a result, shipments of interchangeable lens cameras, built-in lens cameras, and lenses all increased in May. After remaining relatively stable in June and July, shipments declined significantly in August, particularly for ILC or interchangeable lens camera shipments. Total digital camera shipments dipped below 2024 levels in August and remained barely above 2023 levels. Interchangeable lens camera shipments in August were below both 2023 and 2024 levels for the first time. The summer slump occurs every year, but this year was particularly pronounced. In 2023 and 24, camera shipments rebounded in September, but that may not happen this year or could occur to a lesser extent, depending on the root cause of the big drop-off. It is impossible to know precisely why August was such a tough month for digital camera shipments. Still, some reasonable theories include that camera companies may have purposefully overshot demand with shipments in prior months to get cameras into the major U.S. market before the higher tariffs took effect. A camera already in the U.S. supply chain would not be subject to higher tariffs that arrived later, as an example. It's also possible that demand has dampened due to general economic uncertainty and relatively slower economic growth in the U.S. and beyond. For most people, cameras are luxury items, and those are harder to justify purchasing at even higher prices due to tariffs or when the economy is generally more unpredictable. As Canon Rumors notes in its coverage, the overall performance of the camera industry in 2025 is still good, and the year remains on track to be the best year in a while. Whether the harsh summer slump is an aberration, a market correction, or an indication of something worse yet to come will determine how good or bad 2025 turns out to be for photography companies. The ongoing tariffs, although they may have helped increase demand earlier in the year, are generally bad for camera makers and photographers alike. How bad yet remains to be seen. And this is definitely was a good story to touch on this week because I have noticed that, yes, the camera prices have gone up a bit as a result of the tariffs. I recently did an unboxing review of the Fujifilm GFX 100 RF, which is a compact point-and-shoot medium format mirrorless camera that they released earlier this year. And the camera was originally released at $4,999 US, or basically $5,000. And now, because of the tariffs imposed on Japan, the price has gone up to about $5,600. So it's gone up by about $600 as a result of the tariffs. Now, I believe it's going to be that way long term because if I remember correctly, I think the tariff on Japan, we already reached a trade agreement with them. So that tariff on them is a fixed 10% that's not going to go away. So take that into consideration. So, of course, a $5,000 camera is going to go up in price by $500 because of that permanent 10% tariff. But on the other hand, I do agree that tariffs are a good thing. And again, I'm not trying to make the show political. I'm just explaining that, our country, the entire federal government's budget was based on tariffs for a very long time. And it was only taken off the tariff income program back in the early 1900s, which I thought was a bad idea personally. That's just my opinion. But we'll see how things will shake out. I'm sure it's not going to be the worst in the world. I think the economy is going to continue to get better. Prices are going to continue to come down on other items like insurance and rent and utilities and groceries and all of that good stuff. So I think it's going to get better. It's going to improve a lot more by the end of this year, and it's going to get even better next year. I'm predicting. That's just my personal opinion, but I'm a sample size of one. When Nikon added the gold ring to the lens mount of its 28-135 f4 PZ earlier this year, I was ecstatic. Finally, Nikon was leaning into its brand color. I was saddened to learn it would only do this on select products moving forward. That got me thinking. Every brand is leaning away from color when they should be leaning into it. For a tool designed to create art, the camera tends to be dreadfully boring, which is honest. I mean, look at it. Most all camera bodies are black. You have a few that are black and silver, but it is pretty boring. Now, Nikon is not the only company I want to see more color from. It's everyone. That said, it was kind of a slap in the face to see the first push of gold into the company's product line coming in the form of a filter late last year. If we didn't see it on the 28 to 135 millimeter f4PZ, I was willing to riot. That said, I'm still not satisfied. Canon, Sony, and Fujifilm are just as guilty. Canon, Big Red as I like to call them, does use its brand color more than everyone else, but only on its optics. The iconic red ring on the L series glass is one of its signature trademarks, but I argue the company should go harder. Give us more red and do it on the cameras. No, the record button does not count. Sony is doing the opposite, and it's confusing. If you were to close your eyes and picture a Sony Alpha camera, you probably see some orange accents, right? That's because Sony was doing that and making it obvious. The original A7, for example, had a bright orange ring around the lens mount that really stood out. It is less obvious, but still there as recently as the A7R5. But look at the A9 III. While yes, there is an orange ring still on the lens mount, as soon as you mount a lens to the camera, it all but disappears. Why? Why downplay the orange? You could probably poll 10 die-hard Fujifilm photographers, and maybe 2 of them would be able to tell you what Fujifilm's color is green. Yes, Fujifilm also uses red, but the dark green is arguably more iconic of the brand, or at least it was. I mean, just look at how beautiful Casey Mears' NASCAR race car looks in those Fujifilm colors. That's drop dead gorgeous, and I want more. But for some reason, Fujifilm shies away from showing its green-colored heritage on anything other than its Fujinon lenses. Gratefully, Fujifilm's Fujinon website is very green, and its latest lens, the 32-90 T3.5 for GFX, has that lovely green ring shining brightly on the lens mount, and the focal range is also painted in that same metallic green. But why wouldn't you want to put that on the camera body as well? For some reason, all of the camera brands collectively decided that photographers want their cameras to be bland, colorless black rectangles. Now, I'm not asking for full-color camera bodies a la Pentax, although Leica's Safari Green cameras are probably the most beautiful cameras you can get right now. I'm just asking for brands to remember that they have iconic colors and to use them to accent their cameras and lenses more. If I'm a Canon shooter, I want it to be obvious I'm on Team Red. The same goes for Team Orange for Sony, Team Green for Fujifilm, and Team Gold for Nikon. And I do kind of agree with this. I mean, if you look at Casey Mears' NASCAR race car, the Fujifilm colors on his car are spectacular, absolutely gorgeous. And they use those same colors on their boxes of film. And yet they don't use them at all on any of their cameras, which is a bit baffling. Now, being a Fujifilm shooter myself, I do love the sexiness of the black and silver versions of their camera bodies, and they offer that option on most every camera body they release. You can get a plain black one, or you can get a black and silver combo colored one, which is fantastic, and it's nostalgic. It reminds you of the days of film cameras, yada, yada, yada. But I would definitely be down for seeing some green on Fujifilm camera bodies. Maybe make the top plate where the hot shoe and all the dials and stuff are, make that sexy green. That would look fantastic. Or better yet, put the green on the top plate and the bottom plate, and then use the black and silver for the front and back and side panels. That would absolutely look gorgeous. In my opinion, I think it would look really, really fantastic. But we'll have to wait and see if any of the camera companies choose to listen to me and PetaPixel when it comes to this idea. Camera Intelligence has announced Kara, an AI-native Micro Four Thirds mirrorless camera that attaches directly to iPhone via MagSafe. Kara is the first interchangeable lens mirrorless camera to feature Google's next-gen generative AI model, Nano Banana, enabling photographers to perform real-time advanced generative image editing. Camera Intelligence changed its name from Alice Camera last month and announced its pivot to AI-based imaging technology. Alice Camera was announced in 2020, promising AI-based computational photography features in a camera that attaches directly to a smartphone. However, funding and development took time, and Alice camera didn't arrive to customers until last year. By then, the imaging, smartphone, and especially AI landscape had changed dramatically, leading Alice Camera CEO Vishal Kumar to pivot. Quote, producing engaging, high-quality content is a necessity for solo creators and small businesses, but they are already stretched thin and juggling multiple business demands. Content creation tools are fragmented, and users producing social media content for the first time struggle with steep learning curves for both mirrorless camera operation and editing software, Kumar said last month. Camera Intelligence's new Kara camera makes some of the same promises that Alice camera did 5 years ago, including its general design. Further, the fact that Kara works alongside an attached smartphone and emphasizes artificial intelligence and computational photography is familiar. However, AI has come a long way since 2020, and Google's Nano Banana model can accomplish things that people barely dreamed of back then. Smartphone cameras have become increasingly reliant on artificial intelligence in recent years, especially for computational photography features engineered to overcome the limitations of relatively small image sensors and lenses. However, Kara, which has a relatively large micro four thirds sensor and accepts MFT interchangeable lenses, aims to take AI much further than simply improving image quality. Kara is generative. It can transform photos using AI as soon as they are captured. Quote, with the integration of Google's Nano Banana model, Kara ushers in a new era of on-camera generative editing, moving beyond simple capture to offer in-the-moment creation and editing for spectacular real-time adjustments that were previously only possible through complex post-production software and workflows on laptops, Camera Intelligence says. Photographers can use simple natural language prompts on the accompanying Kara smartphone app to instantly change the style of their photo, perform color grading, transform a daytime photo into a nighttime one, alter a subject's clothing or hairstyle, replace the sky, and more. Whether that is something that most photographers want or not is a matter of debate, but Camera Intelligence believes that Kara enables a new type of content creation within an audience who may have little or no experience taking high-quality photos with a traditional camera. Quote, with Kara, we are not just launching a new camera, we are introducing a new intelligent creative partner, says Vishal Kumar, CEO of Camera Intelligence. Quote, creators need more than just great image quality, they need speed, flexibility, and tools that match the pace of their imagination. By integrating Nano Banana directly into Kara, we are collapsing traditional content creation workflows. We aim to fundamentally shift how creators capture, edit, and share our world. Camera Intelligence acknowledges that generative AI raises concerning ethical implications. The company says it is building Kara with an ethics-first approach. In this case, it means the team is working with professional photographers to establish responsible use cases. The team is also developing safeguards regarding its generative AI and prompts. The camera will always adhere to Google's generative AI prohibited use policy, and as such will not allow users to change a person's skin color, ethnicity, or core facial features. Camera Intelligence says it is focused on empowering creative expression, not manipulating anyone's identity. Quote, we put a lot of thought into this technology before offering it to our customers. Despite the skepticism surrounding generative AI, we believe photographers shouldn't fear it, Kumar says. Quote, thoughtful integration of this has the potential to be truly helpful. We chose Google's Nano Banana because it's the best model we've seen for maintaining consistent character details and seamless blending new edits while preserving the original image's optical quality. Its one-shot editing capability is also exceptional, frequently delivering perfect results in a single attempt without unwanted hallucinations. It truly feels like magic, the CEO concludes. Camera Intelligence says the Kara is built for creators and businesses who require high-end image quality, extensive creative freedom, and an accessible, streamlined imaging tool. It is a bold camera with many ambitious promises. Kara's reliance on generative AI will undoubtedly ruffle the feathers of some photographers, but it is far from the first imaging product to feature generative AI technology. Many photo editing applications rely on generative AI for their latest features, and most new smartphones have increasingly integrated generative AI in recent years. However, a full-blown interchangeable lens camera with built-in generative AI, that is a totally different creature. Now, like the Alice camera Kara will launch first on Kickstarter, the campaign is slated to begin on October 30th, and those interested in staying up to date with the project or backing it at the end of the month can sign up for notifications on Camera Intelligence website. Customers can also secure the lowest possible price at $695 US with a $50 deposit. Kara will retail for $995 when it arrives in January of 2026. However, early bird backers will be able to purchase the camera for $795 US. So definitely an interesting idea and a unique concept. And if they're able to deliver on that, that could be a huge help for standalone content creators like myself. Now, I don't know if I would run out and get one. I'm not a huge fan of Micro Four Thirds, and I have regular cameras that I do most of my YouTube videos with, between regular cameras and action cameras. So I don't really think I have a need for this, and I can do all of my own editing and color grading. So, but it could be definitely a prime tool for other single person content creators out there. So definitely something to think about. Just keep in mind that being it's on Kickstarter, Kickstarter is not a retail store. You are on a crowdfunding platform, so you are risking your money if for some reason they don't come to market. Now, they did with their last project, Alice, so you should be fairly safe trusting them with your money, but I always like to share that with my listeners. Just keep that in mind. It's not a store. If you're looking for adjectives for bobcats, they're stealthy or very stealthy. However, that doesn't stop award-winning wildlife photographer Steve Winter from capturing incredible photos of the elusive wild cats. Capturing sharp, high-resolution photos of bobcats in the wild is both difficult and tantalizing because these animals are elusive, typically avoid humans, and blend into their surroundings, and they're also very fast and agile. Award-winning nature photographer Steve Winter used wireless photo traps to document bobcats in New Jersey, including at nighttime and in snowy conditions. His well-lit photo of a bobcat kitten is on the cover of Nature Conservancy magazine, issue number 3, 2025. Quote, 50 years ago, said Nature Conservancy magazine, bobcats vanished from the state of New Jersey. Wildlife scientists reintroduced them, but to survive a changing climate and increasing urbanization, these felines will need more room to roam. The cover story was written by environmental journalist Sharon Gunyap, spouse of photographer Winter. Born in Indiana, photojournalist Winter started at the Black Star Agency and migrated to nature photography. For more than 3 decades, Winter has been a contributing photographer for National Geographic magazine, specializing in photography of big cats. Winter is widely quoted and honored for his nature work. He was named BBC Wildlife Photographer of the Year and BBC Wildlife Photojournalist of the Year, and received top nature honors from World Press Photo. Winter is a 2-time winner of the Picture of the Year International's Global Vision Award. In 2022, he founded Big Cat Voices to advocate for large felines. Quote, my contribution, Winter says, is through storytelling, photos, magazine articles, and documentary films. He hopes his work inspires his audience to help protect big cats. Winter photographed bobcats in the wild at the Nature Conservancy's Johnsonburg Swamp Preserve in New Jersey, some 60 miles northwest of New York City. Quote, the preserve, 700-plus acres, is a habitat stronghold within Bobcat Alley, a vital corridor of protected land that the Nature Conservancy and partners are working to create in northwestern New Jersey, says the conservation group. Quote, iconic mammals like black bears, red foxes, and state endangered bobcats can thrive in this greenway, which connects critical migratory habitat between and along ridges of the Kittanning and Highlands Mountains, subranges of North America's Appalachian Mountains. In narrow pathways, Winter set up camera traps using an ultra-wide 10 to 24 millimeter lens and weatherproof housings for the camera and flash units. 5-frame shots were triggered when bobcats crossed a beam. Aperture was keyed by the flash. How long did the project take? Longer than I thought, said Winter, describing bobcats as a bit skittish. Weather was not a factor except for rain, which curtails bobcats' movements. The camera flash would cause some bobcats to stop for a flash or two, and then the cats kept moving. Winter said, curious subadult bobcats might stop and check out the camera box by smelling it. With decades of experience and global awards, Winter is still confounded when his wireless equipment doesn't work. Voodoo. I call it voodoo, he says. Conservationists and New Jersey's wildlife officials applaud Winter's bobcat photos, documenting the species' recovery and its beauty in the wild. The bobcat is a Native American cultural symbol for persistence, independence, and clear vision. Bobcats also can represent greed and selfishness. In sports, the bobcat is a mascot at the Texas State University and Ohio University. At the Nature Conservancy, the senior photo editor, Alex Schneider, is a double-degree graduate of Ohio University School of Visual Communication. Quote, I jumped at the chance to work on a story about bobcats, says Schneider. At times, the elusive bobcat appears in trail cam shots. On August 15th, Field & Stream published a list of 60 craziest trail camera photos ever seen, which included a couple of images of bobcats and deer. But in-focus camera shots are much rarer. Wildlife photographer Randy Robbins wrote on PetaPixel in 2021 that it's usually a fleeting glimpse as they see you about the same time you see them, and then they disappear into the woods, end quote. Robbins, based in California, shared the story of his 3-year quest to photograph a bobcat, finally capturing his image with an infrared-triggered camera trap. Wildlife conservation photographer and filmmaker Sarah Killingsworth, based in Marin County, California, is impressed by the adaptability of bobcats. Quote, bobcats live throughout the Bay Area, she told Bay Nature in 2021, and the march of development into their habitat has forced them to adapt to an increasingly urban life. Bobcats are without question my favorite species to watch and photograph. That passion has led me to observe the same bobcats over years, including a truly special mother who has raised multiple litters of kittens in a suburban environment. How did Killingsworth take her suburban photo? Quote, with a long lens from across the street, she says. These kittens were born in a backyard nearby. Perhaps another adjective in addition to stealthy also applies to bobcats, and that would be patient. Remember to check out the Liam Photography Podcast Facebook group. It is a private group, and you must answer a security question to join, which is the name of the host of the show, myself, Liam. And I've also opened it up to allow you to give the name of a previous guest on the show to show that you're a listener. Once you are in the group, you are free to post your own original work. Additionally, I am the admin of the Fujifilm GFX 50R group, which is the largest group for the 50R on Facebook. If you own or plan to own the 50R, you can request to join that group. You can find my work at liamphotography.net and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at liamphotoatl. If you like abandoned buildings and history, you can find my project at forgottenpiecesofgeorgia.com. All right, so I thought that was a good story to wrap up with because I love wildlife, especially big cats. I do a monthly donation to the Nature Conservancy to help out these animals and other animals that are endangered and low population counts and all of that stuff. So I thought it was a good story to share. And if you go to the show notes for this episode and click on the link for the main story of PetaPixel, you can check out all the gorgeous bobcat images for yourself. All right, so this is going to wrap up episode 475 of the Liam Photography Podcast. I want to thank all of my listeners once again for subscribing, rating, and reviewing us in Apple Podcasts and anywhere else you might be getting your podcast. If you're not currently a subscriber, why not? It doesn't cost you anything but a second of your time to smash that subscribe button, so do it now, please, as well as sharing the show out on social media and elsewhere and asking your friends and family to give it a listen and a subscribe. Now, also be sure to stop by the Liam Photography YouTube channel and subscribe to the channel, turn on all notifications, check out my most recent videos, And don't forget to get your entries in for my 50,000 subscriber giveaway, where you have a chance to win a brand spanking new Platypod Delta flat tripod, new in the package. All you have to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel and take a screenshot showing that you're subscribed. Email that screenshot to liamphotoatl@gmail.com. Make sure you send the email from the email account that's tied to your YouTube profile so I can find you and verify you. And the contest will be wrapping up possibly at the end of October. I may extend it to the end of November to give people a little bit more time to get their entries in. The YouTube channel is now officially up to a little over 60,000 subscribers, and I want to thank all of you for your continued support. It is greatly, greatly appreciated, and I will see you all again next Thursday.